In this episode of Home Built Workshop, we're going to talk about and make a very simple tool that you just might find invaluable in your shop. This little simple center finder. Stay tuned. So this little center finding tool came up recently in a conversation I was having with somebody, and I thought it would be interesting and fun to talk about this, and also we can make one really quick. For those of you that may not be familiar with this style of center finder, it's basically 3 points, 2 of which are a dowel and a center hole. Now each of these is exactly the same distance apart from each other. The way this works, and this is so simple. Let's say you wanted to find the center of a board like this. You would basically put this over your board and turn it so that your 2 pegs meet each side, and now that center hole is right in the center of your board. You can mark that, center punch that, drill that, whatever you need to do there, it's gonna be right in the middle. So what I use this mostly for is in guitar building. I use this one in particular to locate the holes for drilling the strap buttons. You could also use this for locating an output jack hole. If it was sized correctly, you could use this to locate the center line on a neck as you're laying out for maybe fretboard markers or something like that. There's a ton of other applications. Maybe you needed to lay out the center of a board to cut some tenons or some mortises or something along those lines. You could even offset this hole so that you got a certain distance from one edge. So there's a lot of options that you could do with such a simple tool. This one in particular I have in an oval shape. It's not exactly perfect because honestly this one I just eyeballed on a belt sander to get it roughly to an oval shape. But I thought we could make a new one here really quick. It's only going to take just a minute. I've got some printable templates with probably a lot more measurements than what you're going to need because the measurements really are not that critical. The only thing that's critical is that you get your holes spaced exactly the same distance apart. But if you are interested in using my printable templates, you can check the video description for the links, and it's over there on my website, homebuiltworkshop.com. So stick around, don't go anywhere, let's make one of these. All we're gonna need for this project is a piece of wood about 3.5 inches across by about 2.25 inches tall. Now those dimensions are not set in stone. You can change them as you need to, and also some sort of a piece of a dowel. After cutting out and gluing the template into place, I'll use a sharp awl and mark the crosshairs where I need to drill the holes. I'll drill the 2 outer holes to match the size of the dowel that I'm going to use. And then I'll drill the center hole in 2 different sizes. This way it'll fit a pencil, but the tip will be right in the center. How many times you forget to tighten the drill bit in the chuck? Now I'll just trim off the excess material on the bandsaw, and I'll finalize the shape by sanding it to the line on my template. Now we can just remove our template, and bada bing, bada boom, we're almost done. All we need to do now is take our dowel, cut off a couple of pieces, and glue these bad boys in place. I'll sand a light bevel on the end of these dowels. This will make it easier to install them in those holes. And the more that I look at this, I think I want to do a quick chamfer around the edges before I glue in those dowels. That'll eliminate this sharp edge in case I'm working on something that's already finished, hopefully help prevent any scratches from this sharp corner. Should have done this project for Easter. Kind of looks like an Easter egg. And it really seems, no matter how simple the project is you're working on, you're gonna have to sand it. Especially with something like this that you know you're gonna be grabbing and using. You don't want splinters. You don't have to sand much, but it does require a little. Now for the finish, I'm just going to throw on a pair of gloves and smear some boiled linseed oil on. With such a small project, there's no need for a brush or a rag or anything. And yes, I am just as surprised as you that I actually have gloves on hand. That's got to be about the easiest finish application ever. Bam! There it is, that quick. We got us a new center finder. Now how do you use this thing? Remember this guitar body from the fail video? Go back on my channel, check it out if you haven't seen it. But let's just say I needed to drill a hole for the output jack. I would take this guy, I would put that over the body and turn it until the pegs contact both sides. Now I can take my pencil and there's my mark. You could put that on a table leg, something like that, hold it in place, mark out for whatever you might need to do. Use your imagination. This thing is not limited to only doing a little pencil mark. You could make this a specific hole, maybe even put a drill bushing in here, so that way you could use it to precisely line up a drill bit. There's a lot of different things you could do. You could change the size for if you're working on something large, or make it smaller to fit your needs, whatever it is you want to do. Don't forget, in the video description is a link to the printable template that I've made up to make one that is this size, but of course you can use that just as a guideline, change anything you want to fit whatever size dowels you have, whatever size pencil, whatever size hole you want in the middle. If you want to make it just like this, you can too. So I hope I was able to answer a couple questions about this simple center finding tool. If you make one after watching this video, make sure to let me know. I'd love to see some pictures of it. So that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Home Built Workshop, where handmade is always better than store-bought.